Hello everybody, Flik here and welcome to my Let's Chat series, my weekly vlog that I post every Monday at lunchtime if you're in the UK time zone anyway. And what have we got to talk about this week? I've kind of got a few ideas. I also just did my usual of saying on Twitter, hey, I'm recording a Let's Chat right now, so throw out some topics or questions. So if you hear my phone going that may very well be something for me to discuss, but it's okay if no one does put anything forward because I do have a bit of an idea. It's a bit of a random tangent, but it was what I was thinking about just before starting to record this. But to kind of recount my last week, I mean, you'll be hearing this on the Monday, I'm recording this at the end of a fairly busy week. I just ate lunch, I guess that's that cameo done. Do excuse me. This week I got my Dark Souls 2 Mage playthrough finished, it's all recorded, it's going to be 30 parts on the dot, and I am aiming, with the help of a couple of other days where I post 2 parts, to get it done with at least 3 days to spare before the PC release, which is the 25th. And I heard that it's been delayed in the EU, although it might not be anywhere else. That would be really bad if it is the case, but either way, let's assume at the point of me recording this, it's still released on the PC on the 25th for everybody. Just before that, so kind of end of Mage playthrough, 3 days to spare give or take, depending on how things go. In those 3 days to spare before the PC release, I'm going to post my top 5 best and worst bosses in Dark Souls 2 video that I've had sitting for a little while now. And I'm also going to post a video that I put together earlier today. Towards the end of the Mage playthrough, I was kind of going on about a build I quite fancied trying in the PC version when it comes around, if people are interested in seeing that. And then, between me saying that and recording this now, I've been thinking up a few more builds that actually sound fairly appealing to me. So I've made a video pitching my ideas for 4 different builds, and whichever one gets the most votes is what I'm going to play for a PC playthrough of Dark Souls 2, assuming enough people want that. In an upcoming part, I think it's the Aldia's Keep part, I specifically say in that one, please show your support by saying in the comments, yes, I want to see you play through this game again. It'll probably be a much more streamlined playthrough, I would have to say. I could also get the optional bosses on camera because I didn't bother with my mage since I got them for the hour-long video I did of killing every boss. And I'll be focusing a bit more on co-op with hopefully people I know, because CR's getting it, and also Good Rory and a few other people, so there will be chances for jolly cooperation. I won't give away the 4 builds that I've thought up that I'm going to pitch to you guys. Well, I've given away one already because you'll see it in the playthrough when it gets posted, and also I think I just mentioned it earlier. I've already forgotten what I said 1 minute 25-ish seconds ago. But either way, the other 3 builds I definitely haven't spoken about, so you will see them at the time, and that'll be posted a day or 2 before the PC release. Well, the current, at time of me recording this, PC release. I mean, if it does get delayed by like a week or something, I did hear that the reason it would get delayed is because special editions for the EU have got some kind of hardware error or a collectible error, like something's just broken or not working, so they're having to fix it, and that'll delay the physical copies, so they'll delay the digital copies as well to compensate. That's kind of fair, I guess, I suppose. It'll be very annoying. That's assuming I haven't actually bothered asking for a review code for the PC version because I've already ordered my own copy of it, but still I might do that if the EU version gets pushed back again. I mean, I'll still buy it because I'd like to support a game that I've played an awful lot over the past month. I've put a lot of hours into it and I still enjoy playing it. I am taking a bit of a break at this point because I want to get into the PC version raring to go, so I'm trying to stay away from just mucking around on my PS3 version for a little while. And it also means that I can focus on other things, like I was alluding to last time, I believe. The the Amazing Spider, or whatever the new movies are called, the Spider-Man 2 game that's coming out soon is actually out on the 5th of May, so it's out pretty damn soon, and I've ordered the PS4 version, so I'm hoping the HDCP removal patch is landed by then, because if not, I won't be doing videos of that anytime soon, assuming I even can. I've been trying to get in contact with Activision. That's one of the companies I don't actually have a direct PR contact with, although thankfully my old editor recently got in touch and shared some PR contacts with me for a few different people, so I'm just trying to expand my horizons, as it were. Although I'm wary of certain companies because of the way they are. They've got a bad reputation of being a bit dodgy when it comes to YouTubers, because YouTubers are perceived as being very cheap, and we technically are. We'll take a code and produce videos on a game. We don't need to be paid to do that, whereas PR companies get paid, and So YouTubers are the preferred option by bigger companies now because we're free and cheap and easy. Although that doesn't mean you can give us contracts to force us to give certain opinions. Not those of us with credibility, anyway. So that was a random aside, but still. Yeah, so that's my plans going forward towards the end of April and the start of May. There was something else I wanted to order. Oh, at the end of May, the next Mario Kart game is out. Now that's a difficult one, because it's Nintendo. It's on Wii U, so I can get it on the Wii U, and I could record it just fine using my Elgato. Problem is, it's a Nintendo game, so it'll be very up in the air whether, no, it's not going to be up in the air. I'm 90% sure they will not allow, they will not allow you to monetize video content of it because they will steal all the money for themselves. As with most things. In case you're curious, the reason Monster Hunter is fine is because it's not a Nintendo game. It's published by them, but it's not made by them. It's made by Capcom, so that's why they don't claim on it, because they don't own the copyright, thankfully. Speaking of which, I need to get back into Monster Hunter as well. I meant to record a little bit today, but I got sidetracked by that sudden idea that I had of making a video about the builds I wanted to pitch in Dark Souls 2. And also, I totally forgot that I had fun stuff lined up for this Let's Chat. So I'm going to put it in now because I forgot to mention it right when we started. I've got 2 videos of Maya. The first one is very similar to ones that I've stuck in Let's Chats before, but if you look at the screen now, because I know some people just listen to this, you will see me giving Maya a new Easter toy. It's an Easter duck / bird. I think it's a duck. I called it duck anyway. So that's her playing with a big yellow duck. Since recording that, she's already had one of the legs off, and the eyes are probably not too long for this world. That's what she always does. She goes for the label. Oh, the labels came off of it. Label, eyes, feet, arms, and then she kind of just gets left with the body and the head, and then that's the part that she plays with and keeps and doesn't tend to destroy unless she's like, say, fighting with my sister's dog and they're both pulling it. That's when decapitations happen and toys have to get thrown out and replaced. So that's her new toy. She has a whole tub full of toys, by the way. Too many for one doll, but I can't help buying her things. And now if you look, you'll see an even bizarrer situation involving Maya, where we were clearing out old boxes, and for some reason, I have absolutely no idea why, she decided to eat one. And I've got no idea what was going through her mind. She occasionally likes just ripping stuff up. She say wrapping paper at Christmas or whatever. She loves ripping that up. But a box? I can't say I've ever seen her randomly eat a box. And it isn't that she swallows it either. She rips a little bit off and then she'll spit it out. And then she'll rip another bit off and spit it out. She's a weird little thing. And I found it very funny. I mute the clips when I show you them, but I was laughing at the time. So if you see it shaking a little bit, that's why. Because I was just saying to her, like, what the hell are you doing? And she's just kind of looking at me, then runs back and rips another bit of the box off and then throws it around a little bit. So yeah, there you go. You saw Maya playing with the new toy once again, and then eating a box for reasons known only to her, I guess. She is weird. And with that, unfortunately my phone hasn't gone off, so we're going to have to go to my backup topic of conversation. It's very out there, but still. I was thinking beforehand, because I just kind of got round to reading this week's new mangas, Bleach, Naruto, etc. I have this kind of pet hate involving the motivation of villains, and I don't mean in mangas or anime specifically, I mean in everything, in books, in movies, in games, and there's a very common trope where a villain's motivation makes no sense if you think about the big picture. It's a bit different if it's, say, a villain at the head of a mighty army that's going to take over and rule the world or rule the universe, whatever. So for example, say Frieza had killed Goku and everybody and won and just took over the universe using his army. That's fine, because that's a goal it relates to the character. He now rules the universe and he has a mighty army. My problem comes when there's one villain. They don't really have an army per se. Maybe all their army's been killed off by the good guys. Say they're just left. What is their motivation? Well, their motivation is to kill the hero. Okay, then what? Then they win. Yeah? Okay, so let's say they kill the hero. Then what do? They've won, they're the strongest person in the universe. They'd sit around and get bored. And I know it's not something you're supposed to think about, it's just one of those things where you just accept it, but for example, if Madara wins in Naruto, and he gets his way, what then? Everybody in the world is trapped in a genjutsu, it's just him by himself. Yeah, he might be the strongest, but who gives a shit? He's got nothing to do, he'll just spend eternity twiddling his thumbs. There's no sense in his ultimate goal. That's what bugs the hell out of me. And I don't want to hear nothing about eternal peace or whatever. I'm talking about him as a person. If he was to win, he would just sit around for all eternity just thinking to himself how amazing he is. Aizen would be the same. Like, what would he do? Nothing. And that bothers me about villains when they... I don't want to call it bad writing, but it's more like it is bad writing, but it's just ignored for the purposes of action, because, when does the villain win anyway, so it doesn't really matter what their motivation is. But the stupidest motivation is by far in Bleach. And I am going to be slightly spoilerific about what's going on in Bleach, but honestly it's so bad I don't think you should even care. So the main villain, the final villain in the final arc of Bleach, what's his motivation? The answer is to kill every Shinigami. Fair enough. Right, okay, and he's got an army, so that counts. What happens if he does that? Well, he doesn't seem to have any particular grudge against humans, so you might be thinking to yourself, well, everything will just go on as normal. Nope. Unless it gets massively retconned, it was established rather early in the beginnings of this arc that the reason that Shinigamis killed all the Quincy was because when Quincy's kill Hollows, they eradicate them and it throws the balance of the world off, whereas when Shinigamis kill Hollows, they pacify them and kind of perform an exorcism, and that keeps the balance of the world in check. And the way the Quincy's do it means the end of the universe. So, in winning, if indeed he does win, the bad guy, whose name I can't even remember, I care so little about Bleach these days, I read it just for the fantastic art. I call him Rasputin, or my friend and I call him Rasputin because he looks like Rasputin, but that's not his name. It's Jacko Bak or something like that, I don't care. But either way, if he wins, he destroys the universe. I mean, and he doesn't seem like a particularly suicidal character, maybe I'm wrong about that, but if he's supposed to be so smart and so powerful, has he really gone all this time, 1,000 odd years or whatever, never thinking that about the reason why the Quincy's had to be stopped doing what they were doing? And it just makes no damn sense. And Kubo Tide is a terrible writer, so it's a really good example, but he's not the only one guilty of it. And as I was saying, technically the motivation of the main villain of Naruto is just as bad. Actually, no, it's not just as bad. It's bad if you actually stop and think about what would happen if he wins, but it's unlikely he'll win. Whereas in Bleach, it seems like Kubo Tide's final middle finger to his former fans would be to make everybody die. It just feels like he's that kind of person. He seems rather petty to me. He seems like the Cliff Bleszinski of manga writers. But still, I was trying to think of gaming examples where there's a stupid villain motivation behind everything. It's hard because you do have to consider each situation. You have to think of a game, then have to think of the villain, and then you have to think, well, what would happen if they actually won? So you couldn't really say Sephiroth because I think he did have he had a mother problem, but still, he had a slight motivation outside of wanting to become the strongest. Basically, it's examples where the motivation of the big main villain is just to be the best and to kill all the heroes, and then not even be interested in ruling. It's like, what are you going to do after that? You're just going to be bored and do nothing. Like, I wrote a series of fiction when I was a kid. Not very good fiction at all, and I self-published the first of what was going to be 3 or 4 volumes. And I had this villain in it, and looking back now, I was kind of making the exact same mistakes as far as the big villain is. He's just rawr, I'm a big villain, going to take over the world. But then at the same time, he was going to rule the world. But then I had this kind of rival for the main character whose motivation was a bit more complex. It was, he realised all this kind of the ebb and flow of time and that fate was unavoidable and whatnot. So he wanted to get super strong and become the strongest being in the world, to basically become a god and then change fate. That sounds very cheesy now that I say it out loud, but at least I think I was, even as a kid, I'm talking like 15 or 16 when I first started thinking up this plot, at least I didn't have him just wanting to be the strongest to kill a rival and then nothing. And it is just nothing. If you just have to think about it, what if the villain won? A good example where that isn't the case, I would say, is Death Note, where I actually kind of wish it ended halfway because the villain would win, technically, and it's perfectly plausible and fitting, I think, had it have ended there. I actually think the latter half of Death Note is bad compared to the first half. I think the first half is one of the best told stories in manga, anime, whatever, ever. It's one of my favourite animes ever. In fact, if you've never watched it, by all means check it out. But yeah, the latter half definitely suffers as a result of dragging on too long and not willing to let the bad guy just win. Which is a shame. Although I suppose that you would probably find it really unsatisfying if the villain ever won. But it's just one of those random things that my OCD messed up head thinks about. Like, I can't just accept that, it's just a villain, he just needs an excuse to fight the hero, just shut up and leave it. No, I can't leave it. I need to think about, well, what if he does win? And then what does he do? Does he go home and tell his wife about how he was triumphant? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So if you can think of any games where the villain does have good motivation, a solo villain, I mean, obviously if it's a villain at the head of an army, say it's like a Killzone game and the big villain is the general of the British Nazis that are the enemies in the Killzone games, he's technically got good motivation because he's working for an army and the ultimate goal is the army's conquering, not just him. Is there a game that has like a super powerful villain, or an anime or a manga, where their motivation actually makes sense from the point of view if they were actually triumphant? I'm very curious if you can think of any, and feel free to share it in the comments if you can. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the bizarre stuff I think about while trying to think up things to talk about for this vlog series when there's nothing in particular going on. Still, by the time you see this will be posted on the 21st. Yeah, so the PC release of Dark Souls 2 will be mere days away for you when you hear this. I am looking forward to it a lot. And if you're sick of Dark Souls 2 on my channel, sorry, I would say first of all, but it will slow down a little bit with the PC release. There's not as big a draw to post parts as quickly as I have been for the console version. The console version, I want to get it all done before the PC release. I'm not being asked to do that, I just feel like it. It feels like something to get out of the way before starting again. Starting again with something fresh, hopefully too. And that means once it's out on PC, people can go back and watch my Mage playthrough if they want. So I will kind of start finishing here. I will also say thank you for the very kind comments I've been getting recently. There's been quite a few nice ones that I've been quoting on Twitter and whatnot. It's rare that I get either indifferent or... well, no, that's not true. Most comments I get are kind of indifferent, maybe factual ones telling me stuff. Every so often there's negative ones, mostly on my older videos. Then every so often there's really, really nice comments, and I check comments first thing in the morning from my phone, like kind of before I get up and start uploading and whatnot. And it makes my day. It makes my day that early in the day and, gets me off on the right foot. I'm really glad I finished that sentence without stuttering, that's for damn sure. To read a nice comment or two about my videos helping someone get over being sick, or just brightening up their day, or giving them something to look forward to in the evening when they get in from school. Anything like that. It honestly makes my day. And it was really nice, especially because, as I was saying last time, I've been very stressed out about getting my taxis in order and whatnot because there was a mess up with some forms I needed. Thankfully those forms arrived this morning, so I spent most of the morning before recording doing my taxis, but that's it done. So that's why I'm probably sounding a bit more cheerful today, because I've got that out of the way and I'm so very, very glad. And technically this is my first full year of just being self-employed, because the last time when I did my taxis I was still in my part-time job for about half of the financial year. So this was my first year entirely as a self-employed individual. I made a profit. It's not much of a profit, and it's certainly not a well-paying job at present. This is definitely something that falls into the category of a job you do because you love, not because you can retire on the money you're earning from it, at least at present. And I certainly hope that my channel will indeed grow to the point where I can sustain myself better, and that I can then put out more content as a result. More and better content. I've got ideas, but still. So yes, once again, thank you. I really, really like seeing nice comments. They make my day. And I do try to reply to as many as I can, but sometimes YouTube just doesn't tell me when I get comments, and it's very annoying, and I really wish that would be one of the things they fix, but of course they don't. Because, they're doing other more important things, like messing with channel layouts and whatnot. But still, let's end on a high note. Thank you once again. I'll see you again next Monday if indeed you're following the series. By the way, there wasn't a Hearthstone on Friday because I didn't bother going out of my way to get anyone to record. There might be this week because I'll be busy playing Dark Souls 2 on the PC, so I'll need something uploaded in advance. Anyway, yes, I'm going to go now. Thank you for listening, and I shall see you next Monday. Ta-ta for now.